Hey, everybody. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Curlin Community Connection. We are all things local with our elections here in June. And to go along with that theme, we have one of our members of the school board race. Today we have Julie Cieniaswki. She's a person that hails from Minnesota, graduated from the University of Minnesota twice, not just once. She did her undergrad and her graduate work there, so she's a double gopher. She's taught 28 years in the classroom. She's newly retired. She has served 3 years as the Scottsdale Education Association president, along with numerous other boards and committees inside the district. She has one husband and 2 kids, not the other way around. Please welcome Julie Cieniaswki. Hi, Julie.
I'm doing all right. TGIF.
Yeah. Is it Friday? Just seems like any old day. Okay.
It is.
All right. Hey, so for those of you just joining us, this is a community connection, basically giving you a service to increase your knowledge about people and places that they're going. Julie wants to be on the school board, so she's going to make her case today in a conversation format. I'll ask her some questions. Later on in the month, we'll have a couple of the other people running for school board on. You can make your decision. There are 3 spots open. And this is a free-flowing conversation. If you have any questions for Julie, feel free to write them into the comments section on the Facebook feed. Put a question mark first, and then your question, so that Andy, my campaign manager, who's doing all the grunt work here, it's easy for her to identify. And if you have anything nice to say about Julie, you can put that there as well. And if it's really nice, we'll get it said on the air.
Did you freeze?
No, I didn't.
All right.
If I freeze, that means you have to drink. Remember.
All right.
All right, let's get started, all right? What do you say?
Sounds perfect.
Okay. If anybody, and we'll put this into the chat a couple of times, if anybody wants some more information on Julie Cieniaswki and her campaign, go to juliec4betterschools.com.
Betterschoolsnow.com.
Oh, Lordy. juliec4betterschoolsnow.com.
Yes, there's nothing simple about me, Eric.
Bert likes your shirt. He wants
to. Thanks.
Says, can you give him one in exchange for Curlin Cieniaswki phone calls? Not for my shirt. Yeah, he'll do calls for a shirt.
Hey, Bert, these actually came from a longtime educator in Scottsdale schools and a fan of new leadership on our governing board as an in-kind contribution to our campaign.
Oh, wait a second. That comment wasn't really from Bert. It was from Andy putting it in there. So Bert might not be watching. Andy, stop that. Okay. With that admonishment, hey, let's get serious here.
Sure.
Tell me why you're the one. What are your qualifications for running for school board?
Well, I bring my history with me, Eric. My varied teaching experiences, my personal parenting role in SUSD, along with my education advocacy work, really creates a multifaceted perspective, which I believe is very beneficial to this community in properly serving on the SUSD governing board and moving us forward. I really understand how important this work is, the tremendous impact, the long-term tremendous impact this work will have on human lives, and the importance of really altering our path as a district in order to move our schools and our city to a healthier place. I've seen the results of bad characters in serving in leadership in our district and in other school districts. And I'm committed to make certain that does not happen again. My experiences, along with my ability to work collaboratively with others in solving problems, really is the reason why I'm seeking this path towards SUSD governing board.
Okay, so with all of that in there,
yeah,
that's a big pile of stuff right there.
That's right.
I want you to kind of break it down now and tell me, what is it that caused you to run? Because, I mean, part of this was you retired from teaching, right?
Yeah.
And the decision to retire from teaching was kind of what happened in these last few years. So tell me more specifically.
again, I've seen individuals and organizations make very important decisions that impact the staff and students every single day, whether it's legislative work or work that is funneled down from our district office to our campuses, and then teachers are told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And I see that that's really providing a challenge to meeting every child's needs, to find out what they're good at, to discover and explore. And I think when we really limit the input of the professionals in the profession, we're limiting the human potential of every student in our district. And I vow to listen to people. I vow to turn things a correct path. And it's not going to happen without input from stakeholders that include students, school staff, parents, and here's one that I think has been ignored. I wasn't really even aware of until now, and that is community members. I no longer receive information from SUSD as a retired employee. I receive information from my friends who are teaching in this district. I receive information from my neighbors who have kids in the district. So I think we need to do a better job of understanding what it takes to be successful in this business. And I think, my lens, not only as a teacher and a parent, as I mentioned earlier, but my work within our professional organizations at the local level, from a site rep, serving on the executive board, to eventually SEA president, my work on the AEA board of directors, my work through the National Education Association, my interest in being involved in organizations, for nonprofit organizations in our community, that all gives me a very well-rounded perspective on where we are, what we need to do differently, and how we're going to get there.
Julie, what's with the name? Have you ever thought about going back to the maiden name that's a little bit easier to spell?
You know what? You're so funny, Eric. My students used to ask if they could call me Mrs. C. And
Yeah.
I would often respond saying, I promise I won't call you student L.
All right, I was just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Let's get to your teaching experience. Tell
Sure.
me, what areas over your career did you teach?
Well, when I started teaching in the state of Minnesota, I actually taught at a Title I elementary school. I taught two subjects were on my caseload. One was elementary physical education.
Oh,
The other was adapted physical education. So I served all the physical needs of every student on our campus.
oh,
And that was very eye-opening. I mean, I understand the specialist perspective in educating kids in that revolving door. I mean, you seldom have a minute to catch your breath before the next crew is there, because I provided the planning period or prep time for the teacher. So they were ready to go. When I moved here to Arizona, since I had my adapted physical education endorsement, and it was when I moved here back in '88, it was kind of an unheard of thing. I moved in end of July and got a job in a week out in Mesa schools. I worked in adapted PE. I had 72 kids on my caseload. It was crazy. I drove around the district and
Mesa is huge. Did they give you a stipend for gas?
yeah, we received a stipend for travel expenses, but
Nice.
I was assigned to a region, so it was very well organized and how to serve that many students in so many different locations.
Yeah.
I did that for a couple of years, and then I taught at Keno Junior High um, out in Mesa, and taught boys and girls middle school, and the classes were separate, boys and girls, physical education and health education. My passion going into teaching was health education. But at that point in time, the state of Minnesota was cutting funds for health services, including the requirement of health education in the classroom. It was very interesting. So physical education was the path for me to teach health education. And that's why I followed that path. In Mesa, the physical education teachers taught a quarter of health, and then they taught PE. And then I also coached and all that kind of stuff too. Shifted east a little bit further to Stapley Junior High, was a department chair out there for the men's and women's department for physical education. And then took a little break. So since I started teaching in 1986, I know people think, oh my gosh, she taught for 38 years or whatever. No, 35, 32, whatever. Do the math, right?
I thought you taught math at one point too.
No, that's my son's expertise, not mine.
Right.
But I taught an at-risk program class out there in Mesa, which really made me look at things differently in meeting kids' needs and what were the components of helping kids be successful at school. And I was a new parent at that time, and I was coaching and teaching full-time and department chair and just all the stuff that teachers do. And it hit me one day on my drive home from East Mesa to Scottsdale, and I realized I dropped my kids off at the babysitter, and I came home and they were fast asleep. My husband had picked them up and fed them and bathed them, and I kept thinking, I am not going to be that absentee parent, because that was really my existence. My parents separated when not separated, they divorced when I was in 5th grade. And my mom, I'm a first generation college graduate. My mom had a lot of crappy jobs throughout her lifetime. She always worked 2 to 3 jobs. My dad was not in the picture. And once they divorced, and then, so I was really in survival mode. I picked up a lot of survival skills. And I understand the importance of parents being present. And I'm aware that not every parent has the opportunity or the privilege to be present. My mom did not, because she was trying to feed us and give us a new back to school outfit every year.
You know, and I think a lot of people don't understand that and don't have the empathy for that. I think when people on the surface look at education and say, well, that's the parent's responsibility. Why isn't the parent doing that? Sometimes in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, parents are just struggling to survive.
Absolutely.
And going into this economy that we're going to be going into, there's going to be more and more support services needed for our students.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, Eric, the role of the educator, I think, has been underappreciated. I think now it might be a little more appreciated. I understood it because my teachers and my athletic team coaches they took on the role of parenting me growing up. And I didn't realize this as I was going through school. I realized there were more effective. I was always the student who, I know this is going to be a surprise to anyone out there who's listening and watching. I was always very talkative. I was always very inquisitive. To the point where I asked questions all the time, and I was punished by some teachers for asking questions.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to ask you to be quiet right now then, young lady.
All right.
I'm just going to bring you right back to school.
All right. Yeah, right. I mean, so I get it. I get what it takes to meet kids' needs. And I got to tell you, when I was teaching, it was so fulfilling to challenge every single student and love every single student that walked through my classroom door over the years. But what's really rewarding is if you think about the impact you have longitudinally over time. And I didn't realize the impact my teachers had. None of this stuff is testable, by the way. That's why I have such an issue with us spending so much money on that industry of testing. I call it toxic testing because it's toxic for kids and it's toxic for educators. I don't think it's in anyone's best interest to have a focus of meeting human being needs based on what they can, right and wrong answers on a very limited perspective of what goes on in the education process. So, like these long-term things, when I have students come back to me from college and they say, I'm so glad you didn't let me have the easy way out. I'm so glad you challenged me because it made it easier for me to persevere throughout challenges in my life. That forget the paycheck necessary, but forget the paycheck. That's the reward of a teacher, knowing that you meet their needs.
Yeah. For me, it's usually tamales. When I get tamales brought in, I just love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I kid. I kid because I can. I really identify with what you're saying.
I think a lot of teachers do. They just don't have the opportunity to tell their story.
Well, here's where I'm at. Too many people that are outside of the profession will point to the poor pay and say, how don't we value teachers? I mean, that's why they're not teaching. But here's the thing, and I think it's true because data supports it, but also I feel it in my heart, is that teachers give so much of themselves to improve these little lives. And we invest so much of ourselves in each one of them that we are really hurt when we're not involved as professionals in decisions. We're really hurt when people make decisions about our craft for the wrong reasons. And usually it's the last bit of hurt that we point to and say, and why am I doing all of this for this kind of measly existence? I could get more money for what I do and fill in some of the other gaps, not seeing my family as much, not having as much responsibility. And that then becomes the weight. So we have plenty of teachers here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Too.
We really don't have a teacher shortage. We have a retention issue.
Yeah, we have a crisis there.
Yeah.
I have some questions coming in. This is Julie Cieniaswki. She's running for governing board, so type them in. We'll get them to you. I'm going to go with Amy Herring. She uses 3 names because that's the way it goes on Facebook. But Amy, I hope you come get a shirt or a yard sign tomorrow morning. That would be lovely in the pop-up. I'd love to see you. Her first question is, and it goes back to you getting community input. We've been holding some of these conversations with city council candidates, and a hot topic seems to be, because everybody's into it now, I don't know how really robust their answers are, but I always ask, how do you see yourself partnering with the school district?
Sure.
You have different governance, you have different budgets, but we share the same name of Scottsdale, and we do share the same fabric of community. So I think she's kind of asking this in a different way. And how do you see, one, you connecting with the school, you school board member connecting with city council, and 2, how do you get that community level involvement? How are you going to bridge that community gap? Those are her questions. Take whichever one you want first.
Sure.
And just kind of riff on that.
Well, Eric, that has been an interest of mine prior to serving as our local association president. I have reached out to current city council members in the past and asked them, why is it I felt like the city was not promoting our district public schools? I mean, if you look through the history and creation of for-profit charter schools in our district, it is skyrocketed, and I believe it's very intentional, and that can be a conversation for another day, because I think it's a vital conversation for us to have, but we're kind of limited here with our time. So I've had reached out to them in the past saying, hey guys, can we be working better together as a team here? I'm huge with collaboration. I do feel there are things that we could be doing collaboratively to meet not just our students' needs, the family's needs. I mean, I've heard you mention community schools. I've learned about community schools from the National Education Association. There are some good examples. I do feel like we could be doing things better. I get a little suspect of bandwagon ideas. I mean, I've been around long enough to know
the buzzwords, right?
Yeah. Not
rigor.
just,
hey, yeah. I got rigor.
Yeah, and don't forget grit.
Grit. I got grit. Yeah.
Got that too. Collaboration's real though, because so is that other stuff. I've had people say to me, Julie, I've never met someone with so much perseverance. You know, I've been beat down. I've come back up. I'm to be honest, I'm actually really ready to continue taking punches for our kids. Uh,
Oh,
I,
we
I,
should be
I,
punching.
you know what I mean though, figuratively. I can put on a brave face in public and go home and cry about it. But and sometimes I cry in public. So let's get back to this question though. This is really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
We need to be suspect of characters who have not been involved caring about education as they could have, and now all of a sudden red for ed, it's convenient, it's something that's going to win them votes. I'm not, right, I'm not doing this for votes. I'm doing this running for governing board because
I
getting
think I
this
had a
stuff
donut. I think I had a donut or something.
sweet, getting this stuff done, the necessary work, heavy lifting done, was hard to do while I was teaching full time and parenting full time. Now that I've retired, now that my kids have gone through the Scottsdale school system, and I know the challenges of parenting kids in our school system, I know the challenge of advocating for our own children. That's why we need that collective voice. When we talk about how we work better by asking tough questions. We work better about addressing the facts. I mentioned data. We work better by including those that need to be included in the situation. And Eric, you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about inclusion of teachers. You don't have to have been here very long to realize that was, in my mind, the biggest downfall leadership ever made, was separating themselves from the voted representative voice of employees in the certified employee world, the teacher world. And when they decided that we were in their way too much because we were trying to hold them accountable and wanting them to understand what we needed as teachers in the classroom, was not for our selfish interests. It was for our students' interests.
Okay, speaking of students,
Yeah.
look, I got something really important to say here. I want to just bust in because time is a running and there's so many things to ask, but I want to give you a compliment from Katie Barnhart.
Oh, Katie.
She's a former student here and she can attest that Miss Cieniaswki was extremely supportive and taught me so much about life in the world and inspired me to study to become a teacher myself. Yeah. That is the best compliment.
See, look at, thanks, Katie. I'm trying to put that brave face on. But those testaments are very meaningful to teachers.
Yeah, and Katie, you can go to julieCforBetterSchoolsNow.com and probably either donate or volunteer to work on Julie's campaign and help her with a little payback. Hey, Amy asked another good question. Oh, first of all, this is a quick one. You don't have to really answer it other than a yes or no. But Sandy Flayton was talking about back in the 90s, we used to have the PASS program, PASS, which linked the city via the chamber and our district. Are you aware of it?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Okay, so you're aware of it. Perhaps you'll look into that if you get elected. Amy Herring, and I really want to get this because we haven't talked very much about the unsung heroes of our district, of any school system, which is the classified staff. Mm-hmm. And she wants to know, there's so many important roles making minimum wage. How do you advocate for this group of heroes, really?
That was rule number one out of graduation into the classroom, was learning about the importance of support staff. There was always kind of this little saying of get to know at that time they were called custodians and the secretaries. Those were the movers and shakers of the campus. Guess what? They still are. They have different titles. They are our support staff in our district. are so underappreciated at the state level and at the district level because we pay them horribly and they're so important to the role of supporting learning for every student. And we have a hard time hiring support staff.
So on that regard, do you support an Invest in Ed initiative, which actually has money going to support staff?
Yeah, 25% of it. I continue to collect signatures for them for Invest in Ed. You know, I'm really tired. This is where you can come in, Eric. I'm really tired of begging for money for our schools. And I
More
feel,
porridge, please.
yes, like I'm looking for a metal cup somewhere on my desk to rattle it. I mean, I feel like we do that all the time. And I'm going to tell you, as a governing board member, I will continue to be down at the Capitol. I will continue to be meeting with representatives, hopefully you and I, down there chatting up, seeing what's going on, because you're going to be a representative down there in my legislative district. But
Yes.
I'm tired of begging for money. And
Yes.
our state chooses to not properly fund it out of favor for businesses. It's out there. It's not a secret. So people that are advocates for education have to think smarter. That's why I'm running for office. Work smarter and harder. But the smarter part's important. So the Invest in Ed initiative, anyone who knows anyone who hasn't signed it, please sign it. Eric, I think you're going to be having those at your.
Yeah, we have a pop-up event tomorrow. Thank you, Julie, at 9 o'clock tomorrow, Saturday morning. We're going to be having all the COVID things covered. We have the masks, we have the single-use pens, we have everything like that. We have yard signs for my campaign. We have 3 different governing board petitions that people can sign along with the Invest in Ed petition to sign. And that is on the Facebook page. The address is there, so stop on by, say hi. And let's one more compliment for you, okay?
All right.
Yeah, Sandy said thanks for taking the time this summer to help her with her gifted curriculum. You never stop. She says, we're so grateful to you. Teaching is a 12-month commitment, which is really true.
Yeah, and that's what we do as educators. We should be lifting one another up as well, because this is a tough gig. Hey, Eric, before you get into the shenanigans.
What shenanigans? I don't do shenanigans. I don't even know how to spell shenanigans.
Or Cieniaswki.
You can't spell shenanigans without she. Your shenanigans.
I want to tell you about a dream that I have. I have a dream that we are going to have in place come January 2021. 5. Count them 5. Patty, Jan Michael, Julie, Rose, and Zach. 5 diverse, thoughtful, intelligent, creative problem solvers on our governing board. That's what it's going to take. We're going to be seeing continued budget cuts. We need Invest in Ed, but that's my dream, that we have 5 smart folks in place.
I don't want to tell you what I dreamed of last night.
I don't want to hear it.
I think it was a donut, but it involved a donut. But here's what I want people to know.
All right.
You know, we kid around, we have a good little banter going, but we are very serious about putting children first. They don't have a voice for themselves in this political process. We as adults need to be there for them. And I have committed myself to work with anybody from any political party that will actually move our state forward. And I think you feel the same way. And actually, the people you're running with, if those people get on the governing board, we will have 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and 1 independent. It's just like the redistricting committee. There's a good cross section, but I have to tell you, I don't know when education became a political issue, but it definitely is at the state legislative level because we've had cuts and cuts and cuts, and we've had 25 years of one party rule. So with that, I do want to ask, yes, I do want to ask you one question going to your future governing board members. I know that Jan Michael Greenberg is really up on and wanting a internal auditor. Would
Yeah.
you mind telling us if you are for or against that?
I would love to discuss that topic real briefly. Listen, it's not up to our community to govern our governing board. It's not up to our community to govern our school district. That's what the elected officials are for. And it has been the employees and the community members who have been governing and policing, if you will, our district for years. And I think it's ridiculous. I am in full support of auditing our district. Now, I have spoken with Jan Michael about this. Funds are tight. I mean, we have to be super creative looking at every penny that's spent in our district. And if it's not directly positively impacting the learning of our students, I say, let's get rid of those historical dinosaurs. They don't do our kids any good saying, well, this is the way we've always done it. These positions are the way we've always had them. Now, maybe we share an auditor. Maybe we do an audit every other year or something like that once we get the ball going. There is a variety of ways for us as intelligent human beings to get this work done. But I do not feel it is the community's job to police the school district. And I don't feel it's the teachers or support staff job. That's what the governing board's supposed to do. That's why I'm running. They haven't been, that hasn't been done.
Well, it sounds like you're packing the chat here with people who love you. Janice Hadid, you won't I said fart. You won't find a harder worker than Julie. Passionate, smart, experienced, and intelligent.
Thank you, Janice.
And with that, gosh, I hope my friends are as nice to me one day when I interview myself.
I'll interview you.
No, we don't have time for that. But we do have time for a little game, Julie Cieniaswki. It's Fun Friday.
Yay!
We always play a game. I tried to get you to tell me about your favorite TV shows. I was a little late in getting that information. We could have had a whole conversation on 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh,
I don't know how many. I just want to say, I don't know how many different iterations of that show. Before the 90 days, after the 90 days, during the 90 days. 90 days with a special cast member talking about it, the extended look 90 days. I don't have enough time in my life for these 90-day fiancés. But you are running for governing board. It's like crack. You can't get off of that stuff.
Well, when life is really serious, we need to go to those escapes, those dumb shows. They provide plenty of great. Colbert show.
You know I tape it, Julie.
So do I.
I tape that stuff. I just speed through the commercial. So, all right, here we go. All right, enough about our bad habits. So I came up with a game. I said governing board, board and games. I'm going to quiz you on board games.
Okay.
Famous board game. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to give our kids at home a chance to play along. So I've never done this before, but I want you to do what we teachers call, I want you to do proper wait time. When I say to teachers about wait time, you understand what I'm talking about, right?
Sure. And you can text me answers if I don't know them as well.
No cheating. And plus we got a 30-second delay. Okay, I'll start you off with an easy one. Okay, this board game has a queen and a king.
It sounded like you stuttered there. Can you say that again? Has a what?
This board game has a king and a queen.
Chess?
Yes, my dear, it is chess.
Oh, I thought this was going to be hard.
You can back up now. You got through the first one. The shutout is over. Okay. Woo! Okay, I thought I'd throw one out. All right, now we're getting something.
Yeah.
Okay, in 1933, this board game was created. Now, the game is named after an economic term, the domination of an entire market by a single company or entity. Proper wait time, and the answer is...
Monopoly.
Monopoly. Yeah, you don't have to whisper. We got you. Okay, very good.
I've watched your show.
Excellent. You're 2 for 2.
I feel like people are trying to always hit the button quick and say it before you're done.
Yeah,
Not me. I'll wait.
yeah, it's crazy. You don't get extra points for coming in before the question's been asked. No,
Yeah,
no
that's
extra
right.
points. Okay, here's one. All right, we're building up to something here. Okay, Julie, it gets a little tougher as we go on. Are you ready?
Yes.
This game is Napoleon themed. Originally produced in the Netherlands, it was acquired by Milton Bradley for distribution in the States the year I was born, 1963. The goal of the game is to discover and capture the opponent's flag.
Is it Risk?
No, ma'am.
No. Another clue.
For those of you playing at home, anybody at home want to throw the answer into the chat so Andy can put it into us here? 3, 2, 1. Stratego, and I loved it.
Oh, okay.
No, capture the flag. Stratego. Yeah, it had the little things. Some of them were bombs, and you put it. Oh, it was great. It was great. Okay, ready? Yeah. This is another Milton Bradley game. Before the game actually begins, the two players strategically place their parts on the grid. A lot of people use this to teach math.
Battleship? Yeah.
You are correct, ma'am. Battleship. And Bert got Stratego. Very good, Bert.
Of course he did.
Yeah, that was a great game. Okay. This is an exciting murder mystery game designed in Birmingham, England.
Clue.
Up to 6 players can play.
Clue.
Yes, ma'am. Colonel Mustard in the library with the candlestick. I just wanted to show you that I knew how to play the game. That's right. Okay, here we go. This game, you actually spin a wheel and put kids in a car and zoom off.
I have a creative mind.
Spin the wheel. You pick up kids along the way.
The game of life.
Yes. Yes. It's also a cereal. I could have gone with that too.
Yeah. Did you know that I hosted a game club over the years, and in my self-contained gifted teaching role, we had a game day. The kids had to earn it, but one of the reasons we had it, so I always had lots of different types of board games, socialization skills, working through challenges, communication, all these things. And there were kids that didn't want to play games. They don't play games. They didn't want to. If they couldn't win, they didn't want to play. And like have to play games. Games is a great way to communicate with others.
Yes, I would open up my classroom at lunch and we'd have chess games out and we'd have Scrabble. Kids could play if they wanted to. They just couldn't disturb me, which never worked out so well. Okay, here it is. Second to last one. This standard version of this game is played on a board depicting a political and territorial map. This is ideal for the people who want to enjoy world domination.
That's Risk, isn't it? Yeah, Risk.
That is Risk. Yeah. Very good. Yes. Okay, this is a game that is really action-packed. It does involve autonomy, so it is physical. And you push a button, and this animal comes out and eats different marbles. Got to get the right color marbles.
Oh,
it's an alliteration.
Is it Goblet?
It's an alliteration. Slow down. It's an alliteration.
I know this game. You hit the little thing and they reach out.
Okay, we'll tell everybody the answers on Monday. Please join us on Monday next week. Let me check who we have on Mayoral Monday, okay? Just hold on a second. Mayoral Monday, we have Virginia Cordy. Virginia Cordy is here on Monday. On Tuesday, we're going to have Zach Lindsay, another person running for governing board. On Wednesday, we have Rose Smith, who's also running for governing board. On Thursday, we are actually asking our viewers to join the Black Lives Matter protest that the kids are putting on at Fountain Hills. You'll get more information on that from my website, okay? And from my Facebook page. Yeah. So with that, the actual answer is Hungry, Hungry Hippos.
Hungry. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. What's your favorite game, Eric?
I like poker.
Kerplunk.
You know, the thing in the fireplace that you get out, you stick people when they go by you. Yeah, okay, let's dance this thing off, Julie Cieniaswki. Bring back the dance. Chair dance with me on a Friday. Here we go. All right. Julie C for Better Schools Now. See you later.
Bye. That was fun, Eric.